The corporate retreat was supposed to last 3 days. Instead, it lasted exactly 4 hours before our CEO decided that team building through Trust Falls was less important than his golf handicap. So there I was, Nick Callahan, maintenance manager extraordinaire, driving home at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday instead of Thursday, wondering if my wife Jenna had remembered to water the plants or if they'd joined the growing list of things slowly dying in our house. The joke was on me. Turns out, some things in our house were very much alive. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I pulled into our driveway, the one I'd been meaning to repave for 2 years, and noticed Jenna's Honda wasn't there. Not unusual. She'd been working late a lot lately, climbing that corporate ladder at her marketing firm like her life depended on it. What was unusual was the lipstick stain on the wine glass sitting on our kitchen counter. Jenna didn't drink wine on weeknights. Hell, Jenna barely drank wine on weekends unless we had company. The glass sat there like evidence at a crime scene, burgundy lip print facing me like it was posing for a mugshot. I picked it up, sniffed it, expensive stuff. The kind that came in bottles with French names I couldn't pronounce and price tags that made my wallet weep. That's when I noticed her phone charging on the counter. Jenna never left her phone behind. That device was practically surgically attached to her hand. She checked it more often than a nervous pilot checks his instruments. But there it sat, plugged in, screen dark, keeping its secrets. I heard her car in the driveway at 2:17 a.m. I know because I'd been sitting in my recliner, staring at that phone, for over 3 hours. The front door opened with that specific creak I kept meaning to fix, and Jenna stumbled in, keys jingling, that careful kind of stumble that happens when someone's trying real hard not to look drunk. She froze when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" she asked, and I swear to God she sounded annoyed, not surprised, not happy to see her husband home early. Annoyed. "Trip got canceled," I said, keeping my voice level. "Apparently, Trust Falls don't build character, just lawsuits. How was your evening?" "Fine." She kicked off her heels, expensive ones I didn't recognize. "Just worked late. You know how it is." "I do know how it is," I said, standing up. "That's why I was wondering if you could unlock your phone for me. Need to check the weather for tomorrow." The color drained from her face like someone had pulled a plug. "The weather?" "Yeah, you know, that thing that happens outside. Rain, shine, partly cloudy with a chance of bullshit." She laughed, but it sounded like glass breaking. "Use your own phone, Nick." "Battery's dead, come on, just unlock it. Unless you've got state secrets in there." "I'm tired," she said, grabbing the phone and clutching it to her chest like a shield. "I'm going to bed." She disappeared upstairs, and I heard our bedroom door close with more force than necessary. I sat back down in my recliner, staring at that wine glass, and started laughing. Not the good kind of laughing. The kind that happens when you realize the joke's been on you for months, maybe years, and you're just now getting the punchline. The next morning, Jenna was gone before I woke up. She'd left a note. "Early meeting. Coffee's made. Love you. Love you." 2 words that used to mean something, now sitting on a post-it note like a grocery list item. Milk, bread, eggs. Love you. I found her old phone in the junk drawer, the one she'd replaced 6 months ago but never bothered to throw away. Still had the same passcode she'd used for years, our anniversary date. Some habits die hard, even when everything else is dying slow. The phone still had her old text messages. I scrolled back, looking for anything, and found it. A contact listed as A. The conversation history made my coffee taste like ash. A. Can't wait to see you tonight. Jenna. Same. Nick's out of town until Thursday. A. My place? Jenna. Too risky. Let's stick to the usual spot. A. You're worth the risk. Jenna. Stop. You know this is complicated. A. When are you going to tell him? Jenna. Soon, I promise. Soon. She was going to tell me soon. How thoughtful. I scrolled further back. The messages went back 4 months. 4 months of can't wait to see you, and thinking about you, and when can we be together properly. 4 months of my wife planning to blow up our marriage while I fixed leaky faucets and planned weekend getaways she always had excuses to skip. The last message was from yesterday. A. Tonight was incredible. I love you. I set the phone down and stared at our kitchen. Really looked at it. The cabinets I'd refinished by hand. The backsplash we'd picked out together after 3 trips to Home Depot and 2 minor arguments about subway tiles versus mosaic. The breakfast nook, where we'd eaten probably 1,000 meals together, talking about our days, our dreams, our future. All of it was about to become evidence in the divorce proceedings. But then I had a different thought, a better thought, a thought that made me smile for the first time in 12 hours. Why should I be the only one getting surprised? I spent the next 2 days playing the perfect husband, made coffee, asked about her day, even suggested we watch a movie together Friday night. Jenna seemed relieved, like maybe she'd imagined the tension from Tuesday night. She was almost affectionate, which would have been touching if I didn't know she was probably feeling guilty about screwing around with A. Finding out who A was took exactly 1 phone call to my buddy Jamal, who worked security at the hotel where Jenna's company held most of their client meetings. The Marriott downtown kept parking records, and Jamal owed me a favor from when I'd fixed his water heater for free. Black BMW, license plate ADF 4429, Jamal told me. Registered to Adam Foster, Foster & Associates Real Estate. Ring any bells? It rang like a fire alarm. Adam Foster. I knew that name. Jenna had mentioned him before, some hotshot realtor who'd helped find office space for her company's expansion. Married guy, couple of kids, lived in one of those McMansions out in Willowbrook Estates where the grass was always perfect and the secrets were always dirty. I looked him up online. Professional headshots, testimonials about his dedication to client satisfaction, family photos from charity events. His wife was a pretty blonde named Carrie, looked like she spent her days at yoga classes and PTA meetings. Their kids were maybe 8 and 10, gap-toothed smiles and soccer uniforms, perfect family, perfect life, perfect target. I created a new email account and sent Carrie Foster a message. You don't know me, but your husband does. We need to talk. It's about my wife, Jenna Callahan. She responded within an hour. I think I know what this is about. Can we meet? Interesting. Either Carrie Foster was psychic, or this wasn't Adam's first rodeo. We agreed to meet at my house Saturday afternoon. Jenna would be at her book club, or whatever she was calling it these days. I cleaned the living room, made coffee, and waited. Carrie Foster showed up at exactly 2 p.m. driving a white Range Rover that probably cost more than I made in a year. She was smaller than her pictures suggested, maybe 5'4", but she walked up my front steps like she owned the place. When I opened the door, she looked me up and down with the kind of assessment usually reserved for used cars and job interviews. You must be Nick, she said. I'm Carrie, and before we start, I want you to know that I already hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago. I invited her in, poured coffee, and listened to her story. Turns out, Adam had been cheating for years. Different women, always someone from work or business connections, always someone married so they'd have as much to lose as he did. Carrie had caught him twice before, forgiven him twice, gone to marriage counseling twice. But this time feels different, she said, opening a manila folder she'd brought. He's talking about leaving, says he's found someone who gets him and makes him feel alive again. She spread photos across my coffee table. Adam and Jenna at restaurants I couldn't afford. Adam and Jenna walking into the Riverside Motel on Highway 9. Adam and Jenna in his BMW, her hand on his thigh while he drove. Your wife's pretty, Carrie said, and there wasn't an ounce of cattiness in her voice. just tired resignation. She's also about to destroy 2 families for a man who's never stayed faithful to anyone for more than 6 months. What do you want to do about it? I asked. Carrie smiled, and for the first time since she'd arrived, she looked genuinely happy. I want to introduce myself to her properly, and I want you to help me do it. The plan was simple, elegant even. Adam and Jenna had been meeting at my house when I was supposedly out of town. Carrie's investigator had photos of them going in and out. They felt safe there, comfortable. Next time they planned a rendezvous, Carrie and I would be waiting. Like a surprise party, I said. Exactly like a surprise party, Carrie agreed. Except instead of cake, we're serving divorce papers. We didn't have to wait long. That evening, while Jenna was in the shower, I checked her phone. She'd gotten sloppy about hiding it. Probably figured she was in the clear after my weather app request had blown over. New message from Adam. Tomorrow night, your place, I'll bring wine. Her response, perfect. Nick's got poker night. We'll have hours. Poker night. I'd been going to poker night at my neighbor Dave's house every other Tuesday for 3 years. Jenna knew exactly when I'd be gone and for how long. She'd been using my schedule to plan her betrayal with the precision of a military operation. I texted Carrie. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., bring popcorn. I told Dave I had food poisoning and couldn't make poker night. Wasn't entirely a lie. The thought of what I was about to witness made my stomach churn. But I'd come this far, and there was no backing down now. Carrie arrived at 7:30, parked 2 blocks away, and came through my back gate. She was dressed like she was going to a business meeting, navy blazer, slacks, hair pulled back. She looked calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying. You ready for this? She asked. No, I said honestly, but let's do it anyway. We positioned ourselves in the kitchen, where we could see the living room but stay hidden until the right moment. I'd set up my old security camera, the one I'd installed after a break-in scare 2 years ago but never used, to record everything. Call it insurance. Adam arrived at 8:15 carrying a bottle of wine that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. I watched through the kitchen doorway as Jenna let him in, and they immediately started kissing like teenagers. Right there in my living room, on the couch where Jenna and I watched Netflix and argued about what to order for dinner. God, I missed you, Adam said, running his hands through her hair. It's only been 2 days, Jenna laughed. 2 days too long. When are we going to stop sneaking around like this? Soon, she said. Same word from the text messages. I just need to figure out how to tell Nick. He's been so sweet lately it makes it harder. Sweet. I'd been sweet. Making coffee and asking about her day while she planned to destroy our marriage made me sweet. Adam started unbuttoning her blouse, and Carrie put a hand on my shoulder. Now, she whispered. We walked into the living room like we owned the place, which, in my case, I actually did. Jenna saw us first. Her face went through about 6 different emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, fear, anger, and finally, pure panic. She pushed Adam away and tried to button her blouse with shaking fingers. Who is she? Jenna screamed, pointing at Carrie like she was reporting a home invasion. What's going on? Jenna, I said calmly, I'd like you to meet Carrie Foster, Adam's wife. Adam went pale. Not just regular pale. That special kind of pale that happens when your entire world collapses in real time. He looked at Carrie, then at me, then back at Carrie like he was hoping one of us might disappear if he stared hard enough. Carrie, he stammered, what are you doing here? Meeting your girlfriend, Carrie said pleasantly, though she seems a little overdressed for the occasion. Jenna finally got her blouse buttoned and stood up, trying to regain some dignity. I don't know what you think you saw. I saw my husband with his tongue down your throat, Carrie interrupted, in your husband's living room, while your husband watched from the kitchen. So let's skip the part where you pretend this is a misunderstanding. Nick, Jenna turned to me, tears starting. Please, let me explain. Explain what? I asked. Explain 4 months of text messages? Explain the hotel receipts? Explain why you've been using my poker schedule to plan your affair? I'm all ears, honey. Adam finally found his voice. Look, this is complicated. No, Carrie said sharply. It's really not. You're cheating on your wife with a married woman. That's not complicated. That's just pathetic. The room went silent except for Jenna's crying. I felt like I should say something profound, something that would capture the moment, but all I could think was how much I wanted them both out of my house. So, what happens now? Adam asked. Carrie opened her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. Now you get served with divorce papers. My lawyer will be in touch about custody arrangements and asset division. Oh, and Adam, I'm keeping the house, and the cars, and the boat, and probably your business, depending on how vindictive I'm feeling next week. She handed him the envelope like she was giving him a party favor. And Jenna, Carrie continued, turning to my wife, I want you to know that you're not special. You're the 4th woman I know about, and probably not the last. Adam doesn't leave his wife for his girlfriends. He just collects them until he gets bored. Jenna looked at Adam. Is that true? Adam's silence was answer enough. Get out, I said quietly. Both of you. Get out of my house. They left separately, Adam first, practically running to his BMW, then Jenna, grabbing her purse and keys without looking at me. The front door slammed behind her, and suddenly my house was quiet again. Carrie and I stood in my living room, looking at the wine Adam had brought, still sitting unopened on my coffee table. Well, she said, that was fun. You want to stick around for a drink? I asked. I think we've earned it. Actually, Carrie said, checking her watch, I have to get home. But Nick, this isn't over, not by a long shot. She left through the back door, and I was alone with my thoughts and Adam's expensive wine. I opened it and poured myself a glass. It tasted like victory, with notes of revenge and a long, satisfying finish. The next few days were a masterclass in pretending everything was normal. Jenna came home that night around midnight, let herself in quietly, and slept in the guest room. We didn't talk about what had happened. We didn't talk about much of anything. She went to work, I went to work, and we moved around each other like polite strangers sharing an elevator. She made coffee in the morning, I washed the dishes at night, and we both pretended this was sustainable. But Carrie had been right. This wasn't over. She called me Thursday evening while Jenna was at her book club, which might have actually been book club this time since her usual entertainment was dealing with his own domestic crisis. I need a favor, Carrie said. Adam's company is sponsoring the annual Real Estate Excellence Gala this Saturday. Big fancy event, all the local agents and their clients. Jenna's company is doing the event planning. I knew about the gala. Jenna had been stressed about it for weeks, calling it her chance to prove herself worthy of the promotion she'd been chasing. She'd bought a new dress, gotten her hair done, the whole 9 yards. What kind of favor? I asked. The kind that involves a USB drive and a projector, Carrie said. How good are you with technology? Turns out, I was better with technology than anyone had given me credit for. The plan was simple. Jenna had been working on the presentation for weeks, storing everything on a USB drive she kept in her home office. All I had to do was add a few extra files to that drive. Files Carrie's private investigator had provided, showing Adam and various women in compromising positions over the past 3 years. The presentation is supposed to highlight Adam's commitment to excellence, Carrie explained. I thought we could provide some visual aids. Saturday night, I helped Jenna load her equipment into her Honda. She was nervous, checking and rechecking everything, making sure she had backup cables and spare batteries for the remote. This has to be perfect, Nick, she said. Calvin's going to be there, and if this goes well, I might finally get that senior creative director position. Calvin was her boss, a guy who looked like he'd stepped out of a men's fashion magazine and had the personality of a parking meter. He'd been dangling that promotion in front of Jenna for months, always finding reasons why she wasn't quite ready. "You'll do great," I said, kissing her forehead. "Break a leg." She left for the hotel at 6. I waited until 7:30, then drove to the Marriott downtown. The gala was in the main ballroom, all black ties and cocktail dresses, everyone trying to look more successful than they actually were. I found a spot at the bar where I could see the stage and ordered a beer. The bartender was a woman named Tessa, who looked like she'd seen every kind of drama the hotel had to offer. "You here for the real estate thing?" she asked. "Something like that," I said. "Should be an interesting evening." At 8:15, Jenna took the stage to introduce the evening's program. She looked beautiful in her new dress, confident and professional. For a moment, I almost felt bad about what was about to happen. Almost. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jenna said into the microphone, "thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate excellence in real estate. Our first presenter is Adam Foster, whose commitment to client satisfaction has made him one of the most respected agents in the city." Adam walked on stage, shook Jenna's hand like they were strangers, and took his position behind the podium. He looked confident, comfortable, like a man who'd never had a worry in his life. "Thank you, Jenna," he said. "Tonight, I want to talk about the importance of trust in the real estate business. Trust between agent and client, trust between colleagues, and trust in the community we serve." He clicked the remote to advance to his first slide. Instead of a graph showing his sales figures, the screen filled with a photo of him and a redhead I didn't recognize, taken in what looked like a hotel room. The audience gasped. Someone dropped a glass. Adam stared at the screen like he was seeing a ghost. He stammered, clicking frantically to the next slide. This one showed him with a brunette. Same hotel room, different angle. "Technical difficulties," Jenna called out, rushing toward the laptop controlling the presentation. But every slide she advanced to showed another photo. Adam with different women. Adam kissing someone who wasn't his wife. Adam in various states of undress with various business associates. The crowd started murmuring, then talking, then buzzing with the kind of excitement that happens when people realize they're witnessing a genuine scandal. I saw Calvin, Jenna's boss, covering his face with his hands. I saw Greg, Adam's business partner, staring at the screen with his mouth open. And I saw Carrie, sitting at a table near the front, calmly sipping champagne and watching her husband's reputation go up in flames. Adam finally gave up trying to continue his presentation and walked off stage, leaving Jenna alone with a laptop full of evidence and a room full of very interested spectators. "I'm sorry," Jenna said into the microphone. "There seems to be a technical malfunction with the presentation files." "Malfunction my ass," someone called out from the audience. "That's Adam Foster screwing half the city." The evening devolved from there. Adam's business partner cornered him near the bar, demanding explanations. Several women in the audience were having heated conversations with their husbands, presumably about whether they recognized any faces in the photos. And Calvin was pulling Jenna aside, his face red with embarrassment and anger. I finished my beer and headed for the parking lot. As I was walking to my truck, I heard footsteps behind me. "Nick!" I turned around. Adam was jogging toward me, his bow tie undone, his perfect hair disheveled. "We need to talk," he said. "No," I replied. "We really don't." "You did this," he said, getting closer. "You and Carrie. You set me up." "I didn't set you up," I said calmly. "I just provided some visual aids for your presentation on trust." Adam stepped into my personal space, trying to intimidate me with his height and his expensive suit. What he didn't know was that I'd spent 4 years in the Army before becoming a maintenance manager, and intimidation was something I'd been trained to handle. "You have no idea who you're messing with," he said. "Actually," I said, not backing down, "I know exactly who I'm messing with. A cheating husband who's about to lose his wife, his business, and his reputation. The question is, do you know who you're messing with?" I stepped closer to him, close enough that he could smell the beer on my breath, and see that I wasn't even slightly afraid of him. "Come near my family again," I said quietly, "and you'll need a realtor to find you a new place to live, preferably somewhere with wheelchair accessibility." Adam backed down, turned around, and walked quickly toward his BMW. I watched him drive away, tires squealing slightly as he left the parking lot. My phone buzzed. Text message from Jenna. "Coming home, we need to talk." I drove home slowly, taking my time, enjoying the cool night air and the satisfaction of a job well done. When I got there, Jenna's Honda was already in the driveway. She was waiting in the kitchen, still in her gala dress, but her makeup was smeared from crying. "You did this," she said, as soon as I walked in. "Did what?" I asked innocently. "Don't play dumb, Nick. You sabotaged my presentation. You ruined my career. Calvin fired me tonight in front of everyone." "Calvin fired you because you've been sleeping with one of your clients," I said. "I just provided the evidence." She started crying again, big ugly sobs that shook her whole body. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry, Nick. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." 4 months, I said. 4 months of text messages and hotel meetings and lying to my face. That's not a mistake, Jenna. That's a choice you made every single day. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and realized I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel hurt or betrayed or sad. I felt nothing at all, which was somehow worse than all the other emotions combined. "I want you to pack a bag," I said, "and I want you to leave." Jenna didn't leave that night. She went upstairs, slammed the bedroom door, and stayed there until I left for work the next morning. When I came home, she was sitting at the kitchen table with her friend Mallory, both of them looking like they'd been crying and plotting in equal measure. Mallory Chen had been Jenna's best friend since college, one of those women who collected drama like some people collect stamps. She was divorced, bitter about it, and had always treated me like I was temporarily borrowing her best friend until someone better came along. "Nick," Mallory said when I walked in, "we need to talk." "No," I said, opening the refrigerator and grabbing a beer. "We don't." "Jenna told me what happened," Mallory continued. "What you did at the gala was cruel and unnecessary." I turned around and looked at both of them. Jenna couldn't meet my eyes, but Mallory was staring at me with the kind of righteous indignation usually reserved for political rallies and social media arguments. "What I did was cruel?" I asked. "What about what she did?" "She made a mistake," Mallory said. "People make mistakes, Nick. That doesn't give you the right to destroy her career." "A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk on the way home," I said. "A mistake is recording the wrong show on the DVR. Having a 4-month affair is not a mistake. It's a pattern of deliberate choices." Mallory stood up, putting herself between me and Jenna like a human shield. "You're being vindictive," she said. "This is exactly the kind of toxic masculinity that ruins marriages." I started laughing. I couldn't help it. The idea that I was the toxic one in this situation, after months of being lied to and cheated on, was so absurd that I couldn't contain myself. "Toxic masculinity?" I said. "Is that what we're calling it when a husband objects to his wife screwing around?" "You humiliated her in public," Mallory shot back. "You could have handled this privately, gone to counseling, worked things out like adults." "You're right," I said. "I should have been more mature about it. Maybe I should have just ignored it, pretended it wasn't happening. Better yet, maybe I should have thanked Adam for keeping my wife entertained while I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for this house." Jenna finally spoke up. "Nick, please, can't we just try to work this out?" "Work what out?" I asked. "You don't love me, Jenna. You haven't loved me for months, maybe years. You love the idea of me, the security I provide, the life we built together, but you don't love me." "That's not true," she said, but even she didn't sound convinced. "Then why were you planning to leave me for Adam?" Silence. Even Mallory didn't have an answer for that one. "I wasn't," Jenna said finally. "I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. You knew enough to tell him you loved him, I said. You knew enough to plan a future with him. The only thing you didn't know was how to tell me about it. Mallory jumped back into the conversation. So what's your plan, Nick? Punish her forever? Make her suffer because she hurt your pride? My pride? I said. This isn't about pride, Mallory. This is about respect. This is about honesty. This is about the fact that I've been living with a stranger for months and didn't even know it. Everyone makes mistakes, Mallory started. Stop calling it a mistake, I snapped. A mistake is something you regret immediately. Jenna regrets getting caught, not cheating. There's a difference. I looked at Jenna, who was crying again, and felt that same emptiness I'd felt the night before. Pack a bag, I said again. Both of you. I want you out of my house. You can't kick me out, Jenna said. This is my house too. Actually, I said, it's not. The deed is in my name. The mortgage is in my name. You're welcome to call a lawyer and fight me on it, but until then, you're trespassing. Mallory stood up, grabbing her purse. Come on, Jenna. You don't have to listen to this. Yes, I said. She does. Because this is my house, and these are my rules now. They left together, Mallory's arm around Jenna's shoulders, whispering reassurances, and probably planning their next move. I watched them drive away and felt relieved for the first time in weeks. My phone rang an hour later. Dave, my poker buddy. Hey man, he said. I heard about what happened at the gala. You okay? How did you hear about it? I asked. Mallory called my wife, started going on about how you're having some kind of breakdown and Jenna needs support from her friends. What did your wife say? She told Mallory that if Jenna wanted support, maybe she shouldn't have been screwing around on her husband. I smiled. Dave's wife, Linda, had never liked Jenna much, always said she was too ambitious for her own good. Anyway, Dave continued, Mallory's been calling around to all the couples we hang out with, trying to get people to take sides. Thought you should know. What kind of sides? The kind where people have to choose between inviting you to barbecues or inviting Jenna and her victim complex. This was something I hadn't considered. Jenna and I had the same social circle. Couples from the neighborhood, people from work, friends we'd made together over the years. I'd assumed that when the marriage ended, we'd just naturally drift apart from those people, but I hadn't thought about the politics of divorce. Who's winning? I asked. You are. Mostly. Turns out people don't like cheaters. Who knew? But Dave was wrong about that. Over the next few days, I learned that people's reactions to infidelity were more complicated than I'd expected. Some friends, like Dave and Linda, were completely supportive. They'd seen how hard I'd worked on the marriage, how much I'd invested in building a life with Jenna, and they were disgusted by her betrayal. Others, like Tom and Sarah from down the street, seemed to think this was some kind of mutual failure, that both Jenna and I were equally responsible for the breakdown of our marriage. And then there were the ones who sided with Jenna completely, like Mike and Jennifer, who'd been friends with us for 5 years, but apparently thought I was a controlling monster who'd driven my wife into another man's arms. The breaking point came at a neighborhood barbecue the following Saturday. I almost didn't go, but Dave convinced me that hiding at home would just fuel the gossip mill. Show up, he said. Be normal. Let people see that you're not falling apart. So I went, and it was a disaster. Jennifer cornered me by the beer cooler within 10 minutes of my arrival. I can't believe what you did to Jenna, she said, loud enough for half the party to hear. What I did to Jenna, I replied. The presentation thing, that was so humiliating. She's devastated. She should be devastated, I said. She cheated on her husband and got caught. That doesn't give you the right to destroy her career. I didn't destroy her career. She destroyed her career when she decided to sleep with a client. Mike appeared next to his wife, backing her up like they'd planned this ambush. You could have handled it better, he said. There were more mature ways to deal with this. Like how? I asked. Like pretending it didn't happen? Like going to counseling with someone who's been lying to me for months? Like talking to her privately instead of humiliating her in public, Jennifer said. I tried talking to her privately, I said. She lied to my face. So I decided to let the truth speak for itself. You're being vindictive, Mike said, using the same word Mallory had used. No, I said. I'm being honest. Something you might want to try sometime. The conversation was getting heated, drawing attention from other guests. I saw people turning to watch, phones coming out to record what might become the neighborhood's most entertaining drama in years. What's that supposed to mean? Mike asked. It means maybe you should worry about your own marriage instead of lecturing me about mine. Jennifer's face went pale. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you've been having lunch with your personal trainer twice a week for the past month. And I'm talking about the fact that Mike's been working a lot of late nights with his new secretary. The silence that followed was deafening. Mike and Jennifer stared at me like I'd just announced I was an alien from Mars. How do you... Jennifer started. Know about it? I finished. Because I pay attention. Because I notice when people's stories don't add up. Because I'm not as stupid as everyone seems to think I am. I looked around at the crowd that had gathered to watch the show. Here's the thing about cheating, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. It's not a mistake. It's not something that just happens. It's a choice. A choice to lie, a choice to betray, a choice to put your own desires ahead of your commitments. And when you make that choice, you don't get to play the victim when there are consequences. I set down my beer and walked toward the gate. Where are you going? Dave called out. Home, I said. I've got better things to do than listen to a bunch of hypocrites lecture me about marriage. I left the barbecue and drove home, feeling like I'd just burned down every bridge I'd spent years building. My phone started buzzing with text messages before I even got to my driveway. Dave. Dude. What was that about? Linda. Holy shit, Nick. Did you really know about Mike and Jennifer? Tom. That was brutal, man. Brutal but deserved. And then one from a number I didn't recognize. This is Carrie. Heard about the barbecue. Well done. Call me. I called her. You're learning, she said when she answered. Learning what? That sometimes you have to burn it all down before you can build something better. The next few weeks were quiet. Too quiet. Jenna had moved in with Mallory temporarily, and we were communicating only through lawyers about the divorce proceedings. Adam had apparently left town. His real estate office was closed, and Carrie told me he was staying with his brother in Phoenix while their divorce played out. I thought maybe it was over. I thought maybe I could start rebuilding my life, figure out who I was without Jenna, maybe even start dating again eventually. I was wrong. The trouble started when I came home from work on a Thursday evening and found my front door standing wide open. Not just unlocked, open, like someone had left in a hurry. I approached carefully, wishing I still had the pistol I'd owned in the army. The house was quiet, but something felt wrong. Furniture was moved around, drawers were open, papers were scattered across the floor. Someone had searched my house, thoroughly. I called the police, and Officer Martinez showed up 20 minutes later to take a report. He was a young guy, probably fresh out of the academy, and he treated the break-in like a routine burglary until I explained about the divorce and the gala incident. You think your wife did this? He asked. I think someone was looking for something specific, I said. Normal burglars take electronics and jewelry. They don't go through filing cabinets and desk drawers. Martinez nodded and made notes, but I could tell he thought this was a domestic dispute that had gotten out of hand. After he left, I walked through the house, trying to figure out what was missing. My laptop was still there. The TV was untouched. Even Jenna's jewelry, which she'd left behind, was still in the bedroom. But my home office had been torn apart. Files everywhere, desk drawers emptied, even the books pulled off the shelves. Someone had been looking for something, and they'd been desperate enough to break into my house to find it. My phone rang. Jenna. Nick, we need to talk. Did you break into my house? I asked. What? No. Why would you think that? Because someone searched my office today, and you're the only person I know who's desperate enough to commit a felony. I didn't break into anything, she said, but we still need to talk. Can I come over? No, we can talk through our lawyers. This isn't about the divorce, she said. This is about Adam. That got my attention. What about Adam? He's back in town, and he's angry, Nick. Really angry. He blames you for everything that happened. Everything that happened was his fault. I know that, she said, but he doesn't see it that way. He thinks you and Carrie conspired to destroy his life. We did conspire to destroy his life. He deserved it. Nick, please, just listen to me. He came to see me yesterday. He was talking crazy, saying things about getting even, making you pay. I think he might do something stupid. I hung up and immediately called Carrie. Adam's back, I told her. I know, she said. He showed up at the house this morning, demanding to see the kids. I had to call the police to get him to leave. Jenna thinks he might be planning something. Jenna's right, Carrie said. He's broke, his business is finished, and he's facing a divorce that's going to leave him with nothing. Men like Adam don't handle failure well. What do you think he'll do? I think he'll try to hurt us the same way we hurt him, publicly, dramatically. He'll want an audience. She was right, of course. Adam was the kind of man who needed to be seen, needed to be the center of attention. If he was planning revenge, he'd want witnesses. The call came the next evening. My neighbor, Mrs. Caputo, the one who knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. Nick, honey, there's a man sitting in a car outside your house. Been there for an hour, just watching. You expecting someone? I looked out the front window and saw Adam's BMW parked across the street. He was behind the wheel, staring at my house like he was planning an invasion. I called Carrie. He's here. On my way, she said. Then I called Dave. Remember when you said you owed me a favor? Yeah. I need backup. Bring Linda, and maybe call Tom and Sarah too. What's going on? Adam Foster's outside my house, and I think he's planning to make a scene. I want witnesses. Dave didn't ask any more questions. Give us 10 minutes. I walked outside and approached Adam's car. He rolled down the window when he saw me coming. We need to talk, he said. So talk. Not here. Too public. Public is good, I said. Public keeps us both honest. He got out of the car, and I could see he'd been drinking. Not falling down drunk, but enough to make him unpredictable. You destroyed my life, he said. You destroyed your own life. I just provided the documentation. My wife took everything. My house, my business, my kids, everything. Good for her. That's when he snapped. He came at me swinging, but he was drunk and sloppy, and I'd been expecting it. I stepped aside, let his momentum carry him past me, and watched him stumble into my mailbox. Feel better? I asked. He turned around, face red with anger and embarrassment. This isn't over. Yeah, it is, I said. That's when the cavalry arrived. Dave's truck pulled up, followed by Tom's sedan and Carrie's Range Rover. Within 30 seconds, I had 5 witnesses to whatever Adam was planning to do next. Problem here? Dave asked, getting out of his truck. Adam looked around at the growing crowd and seemed to realize his dramatic confrontation wasn't going according to plan. This is between me and him, Adam said, pointing at me. No, Carrie said, walking up to stand beside me. This is between you and reality. And reality is that you're a cheating husband who got caught and now has to face the consequences. You turned my own wife against me, Adam said to me. I didn't turn her against you, I replied. I just showed her who you really are. Mrs. Caputo appeared on her front porch, clearly enjoying the show. A few other neighbors had come outside too, drawn by the commotion. Adam realized he was outnumbered and outmaneuvered. Whatever he'd planned to do, it wasn't going to work with an audience of witnesses. This isn't over, he said again, but his heart wasn't in it anymore. Yes, it is, Carrie said firmly. It's over, Adam. Your marriage is over, your business is over, and your relationship with my children is over. The only thing left to decide is whether you're going to accept that with dignity or make it worse for yourself. Adam looked around at all of us, and I saw something break in his eyes. The fight went out of him all at once, like air leaking from a balloon. I loved her, he said quietly, looking at me. I really loved her. No, I said. You didn't. You loved the excitement of sneaking around. You loved the thrill of getting away with something. You loved the way she made you feel about yourself. But you didn't love her. If you'd loved her, you wouldn't have put her in a position where she had to choose between her marriage and her affair. Adam got back in his BMW and drove away without another word. The neighbors gradually dispersed, and I was left standing in my driveway with my friends and my former enemy's wife. Think he'll be back? Dave asked. No, Carrie said. He's done. Men like Adam are only dangerous when they think they have something to gain. Now he knows he's lost everything, and there's nothing left to fight for. She was right. Adam left town the next day, and I never saw him again. But the story wasn't over yet. 3 days later, Jenna showed up at my house with 2 suitcases and a moving truck. I'm getting the rest of my things, she said. Fine. Make it quick. I watched her and 2 guys from the moving company load furniture and boxes, taking half of everything we'd accumulated together. The couch where we'd watched movies, the dining room table where we'd eaten dinner for 7 years, the bed where we'd slept together and dreamed about our future. When they were done, the house looked empty, like a stage set after the play was over. Nick, Jenna said as the movers loaded the last box, I want you to know I'm sorry. About all of it. I know, I said. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I thought about that question. Really thought about it. Maybe, I said finally. But not today. And probably not tomorrow. Forgiveness isn't something you can schedule, Jenna. It happens when it happens, if it happens at all. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I hope you find someone who makes you happy. I hope you figure out what you actually want, I replied, because I don't think you ever really knew. She left with the moving truck, and I was alone in my half-empty house. But for the first time in months, I didn't feel lonely. I felt free. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Carrie. Want to grab dinner? She asked. As friends, I mean. I think we both could use some normal human conversation. Sure, I said, but I get to pick the restaurant, somewhere that doesn't serve wine that costs more than my car payment. She laughed. Deal. We met at a little Italian place downtown. Nothing fancy, just good food and honest conversation. We talked about our divorces, our plans for the future, our kids. She had 2, I had none, but maybe someday. Do you regret it? She asked over dessert. The whole revenge thing? I thought about it. No. They made their choices and I made mine. I'm not proud of everything I did, but I'm not ashamed of it either. They hurt us, and we hurt them back. That's not noble, but it's honest. Think we'll stay friends? She asked. I hope so, I said. We make a good team. She smiled. Yeah, we do. 6 months later, I ran into Jenna at the grocery store. She looked different. Thinner, tired, like she hadn't been sleeping well. She was with a man I didn't recognize, younger than me, wearing a suit that looked expensive. Nick, she said when she saw me. Jenna. We stood there for a moment, 2 people who used to share everything and now had nothing to say to each other. How are you? She asked finally. Good, I said. Really good. You? I'm okay. Getting by. She introduced me to the man she was with, her new boyfriend, some marketing executive from her new job. He seemed nice enough, the kind of guy who probably treated her well and would never cheat on her. I heard you're dating Carrie Foster, Jenna said. We're friends, I said. Good friends. I'm glad you found someone. I'm glad you did too. And I meant it. Whatever anger I'd felt toward Jenna had faded over time, replaced by something closer to pity. She'd thrown away 7 years of marriage for a fantasy that lasted 4 months, and now she was starting over with someone new, probably making the same mistakes all over again. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I finished my shopping and drove home to my house now, officially, since the divorce was finalized. Carrie was coming over for dinner, bringing her kids to meet me properly for the first time. I was nervous about that. Being a potential stepfather was a bigger responsibility than being a husband, and I wanted to get it right. But as I pulled into my driveway and saw Carrie's Range Rover already there, saw her kids playing in my front yard while she waited on the porch, I realized something important. I was happy. Actually, genuinely happy, for the first time in years. Jenna had given me the knife all right, but instead of letting her twist it, I'd taken it away from her and used it to cut myself free. And that made all the difference.